Hi everyone. So this video is gonna be coming to you probably like a week into 2023. And so I thought it was a better time to kind of put this after we've kind of settled in to basically what is going to be the new year, instead of doing it like at the front end of the week, because I feel like everybody is just flooded with so many different things they want to do and what they want to achieve and reflection, on the last few years, that it's too much of a cluttered time to really stop and think about things, especially what we're going to talk about today, which is goal setting. So I think this is a great time to kind of talk about it because we all are hopefully starting to settle into what we want for ourselves for this year. So I feel like this conversation isn't one that could be had without essentially identifying what is a goal, why should we have one, and how do we identify it. So a goal essentially is a achievement or a task or an activity, something that you desire to do, whether that's an action-based goal, a psychological-based goal, maybe emotional or spiritual. It's something that you have yet to complete or to do or to master. And so that concept right there seems very, very lofty. So to kind of break it down, we have to identify, well, what does that look like to us? How do you identify a goal? And I think a great way to identify a goal is to pick an activity or an action or something you want to do and label it with one term. That way you can use that term and use it as a descriptor when you are going about your journey and going about the next year, hopefully trying to master and accomplish goal setting. So an example of something that I feel is a goal that I have for the next year is the goal of consistency. That is the term that I've coined my goal. Now I have a million sub goals, and you can have a million sub goals that relate to that term that we identified. However, a lot of my goals all relate back to the sense of consistency. And consistency for me, which is what I've identified and what you will want to do some soul searching and identify yourself, is what exactly are the resources and what does it take to actually achieve this goal? And then also, what are your sub goals? So for me, it's gonna take consistency, right? That is the goal term that I've identified for myself for 2023 and beyond. So taking that, what goals do I want to have consistency in? So that would look like, and these are just examples, being more consistent in posting YouTube content and actually generating ideas and concepts that I really want to share with other people. Being more consistent in pushing myself in the gym. Being more consistent in eating a consistent diet and not flopping back and forth between eating more healthy one day and then maybe I'm a little lax the next day or next week. I want to be more consistent in my knowledge at work as a career advisor, pushing myself to learn more, to take in more. I want to be more consistent in that, and also consistent and really pouring into myself when it comes to family, friend, and romantic relationships. I really want to be able to be more level-headed when it comes to who and what I invest my time in. And so all of those sub goals all equal up to my main goal term. So once you've identified your goal term and all of your sub goals that relate to that term, you'll want to break those goals up into two categories. Those categories are essentially going to be your achievable goals now and your achievable goals in the future. So let's say that you've identified your goals achievable now and goals achievable in the future. What you'll want to do for your next step is essentially focus and hone in on those goals achievable now, because those are going to be the things that you can break down and take little steps towards each day. So what you'll do is you'll take your goals identified now, figure out what they are, then figure out what part of those goals require steps. So your goals can either require a step-by-step process to achieving them, or they can require more of a swift, just one simple action in order to achieve them. That is what you need to define and identify within your goals achievable now category, because that is going to tell you what is the most realistic thing that you could do today to have yourself be in a better place in 6 days, in 6 months, 6 years. And I don't know why I'm using the word number 6, but that's just what flowed. But it still remains that you got to figure out what you can do now. That is the only way you're going to move forward, and that's the only way that this conversation is really going to mean something. So figure out what you can do now. Figure out what type of goal that you have. Let's say you have a goal that you identified that relates to your goal term. You've identified, all right, this particular goal is going to take a couple steps in order to achieve it. That is where you then figure out what are those steps and what portion of the steps can you do today or maybe tomorrow within the next week. That is a surefire way that you will always be making progress towards your goal. Once you've made progress towards these goals achievable now, in whatever way you've identified, it will then lead itself to actually progressing and propelling you towards your future goals that you've identified. Because that same breakdown of a concept with the things that you could do now is only going to then repeat itself in the things that you can do in the future. Because one progression is going to lead to another. So to practice that breakdown once you're doing, your goal assessment and figuring out what you can do now, what you can do in the future, and what can you do today or the next day to make it happen. And one will always lead towards the other. The goals achievable now and what's required of them will only enhance the goals achievable in the future. And that is how you will actually accomplish the goal term that you set for yourself for, let's say, this year. In saying that, when you are identifying what is going to be required of your goals, what can you do now and in the future, identify what resources and timetables are required of these goals. So what you'll need to do is identify, do you need a particular resource? Maybe you need more skills in the technical area. Maybe you need more practice in a certain environment or situation, or anything that maybe you feel a little underprepared to actually accomplish the goal that you've identified. Figure out what those things are, because again, you'll need to account for whether or not those are things you could do now or in the future, and also whether or not they are things that you could do today or tomorrow. As well as resources, time management and timetables are so important. If you're a person who maybe, because you can kind of regulate yourself, and we all have that free will essentially to kind of just do whatever that we want, make sure that you identify that, and then also set a timetable for yourself, set a deadline if that's what's going to make you achieve the goal, or if that's what is required of the goal. So you need to also account for that. Does this goal actually have a timetable? Is that something that I feel I could realistically do? Those are things that you have to incorporate in your assessment of yourself and all of the things that you hope to accomplish. Also, figure out if you need any more skills, maybe professional development skills and maybe personal skills, working on yourself, anything like that. Those are things that are all going to need to be accounted for when you are assessing your goals. And that same concept breakdown also applies to those goals that you've identified that require maybe just a single action. Identify what that single action would be. And then you figure out, is that something that you could do today, in a week, in a month, whatever it is. Basically, an example of that I could give for me is that I have the goal of essentially growing my YouTube channel. And that's just a very, very general baseline goal that makes sense for like you guys out there like watching me. And so I know for myself that I don't need a lot of push to do this because I love it. I love creating things and just watching and experiencing the whole progression from start to finish, regardless of what the outcome is on the other side of things. But for me, I found that it's just something I like truly, truly enjoy, like seeing a project that I've done just completed in its entirety. However, I identified that in order for me to be successful at this goal of, growing my YouTube channel, which again ties into that term consistency, which is the term that I've identified for my goal this year, I know and understand that I will need to set some type of timetable for how I'm gonna get this done. So realistically for me, I'm hoping to not allow 2 weeks to go by without posting. 1 post a week would be absolutely amazing for me, absolutely. However, I know that might stress me out, which might keep me from achieving my goal. So since growing a YouTube channel, I've identified is a step-by-step process, I've then, in correlation, given myself a general timetable between 1 to 2 weeks of posting. Just get it done. However I go about it, varying on what's going on in my life is cool, it's fine. But I just need to get it done within my timetable so that I can continue to be consistent and I continue to achieve my goals. So you see kind of how it's all full circle. And so those are the things that, I want to challenge you to really look at yourself and really map out if that's something that you can do. And don't be overwhelmed by the whole aspect of having to account for yourself. It's great to be accountable. Be accountable when you are setting your goals. However, have self-knowledge about yourself. If you're someone who can hold their own selves accountable, great. Then you can kind of just, hit the ball rolling. However, if you're someone who could benefit or maybe you would enjoy somebody else holding you accountable, absolutely find that person, reach out to them, explain what you're doing, explain why you think they are a person that could really help you achieve this goal and hold you accountable to kind of, mastering some of these step-by-step or single action goal setting. However, with that self-knowledge, have a sense of what motivates you. You need to know that if you're counting on yourself to get these things done, or maybe you have a friend or family member that's helping you along the way, just understand what their motivation style is and what yours is for yourself or for others. If you're the type of person that really gets motivated off of positive affirmation, positive self-talk, gentle encouragement, gentle, critiquing and feedback, by all means, make sure that you or your person is doing that for yourself, so that you can actually achieve these things. If you're the type of person that maybe you don't mind a little bit of tough love, you don't mind somebody saying, hey, what are you doing? I know you're not over there doing X, Y, and Z, so what's going on? Then make sure that you or that person is doing that to help you be accountable for your goals. So all of these things are really going to set you up on a path to really progress and progress and progress. By the end of the year, looking back, you're gonna want to be able to say, I know exactly how I got here. I got here and I can tell you exactly how I did it. I experienced it all and I can say that I set these plans into motion and I'm proud of myself that I was able to do something like that. because I was intentional about every single thing that I did. I didn't just achieve a goal to achieve a goal. I did it with intention, I did it with integrity, and I did it out of love and kindness for myself. And when you look back on those moments that you really weren't sure about, or you weren't really sure how it was going to happen, and you can actually say, let me tell you how it happened. Let me tell you how I did this. And you could do that for yourself. Forget everybody else. But doing that for yourself, it does something to you, or at least it does something for me. So as we go into this new year, I definitely will be practicing all of these different things that I've mentioned. I'm so excited to see how I can actually progress towards some of my goals. And I'm so excited to hear of anybody else who is hoping to do the same. And I know you guys are gonna do the same. So please, if you are interested at all, like, leave a comment. Let me know kind of what you're looking to do, what you're hoping to do. Maybe some ways that I could help or advise in any way, or even anything that you would like to share. Now, this is a little bit different of a video, but I promise you, with the content with fitness and beauty, which I still have to touch on, they are all incorporated in my goal of consistency. And so I'm hoping to have some of that highlighted as well as we go throughout the year. Oh, quickly, before I go, I would recommend for anybody who needs some help kind of keeping all this stuff like together to get a weekly or monthly planner. So this one is for 2022 and 23. It's just a really, really great way to keep all of the stuff that I was talking about, like, not in my head because then I could get overwhelmed if I just keep it all in my head. But I would say get something that has different months. You'll also want to, so you see, like, I got stuff crossed out already, and this was in freaking August. There's already a bunch of stuff crossed out. But you'll want something that has like the months and has individual days so that you can keep track of what you're trying to do each day. Something that has like notes and a note section. This is just a really, really good way to keep all of your stuff, you know, in one place. So I would highly, highly suggest that you get yourself a little weekly, monthly planner. And if anyone knows of any better journals, just link it down in the comments and let me know. I'll share with others and we'll just kind of keep the ball rolling with the suggestions. All right, thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.